You are listening to the Grow Daily podcast, and this is your host, Piyush Agarwal. And this is the 23rd episode of this series. This episode is 2 days late. Yes, you heard it right. After having a winning streak of 21 episodes, I broke the chain. I hope you have heard the term of don't break the chain. It's Jerry Seinfeld's motivation method to make sure that you continue to be productive, you continuously keep creating content, and you keep yourself motivated. Before we start talking about the method, it's important to acknowledge that I couldn't keep up my promise for the last 2 days. For the last 21 days, I recorded a new episode every single day and made sure I publish it for all of you. And I would like to apologize for not meeting my promise for the last 2 days. There are multiple reasons it happened, and we would go through it on this episode because I feel that it's very important that you have consistency in order to ensure that you keep growing in any business that you are into. And in my case, for this podcast, the consistency is to have one podcast episode released and published every single day. And for me to meet that consistency, there are a lot of things that should be met, that should be kept in check. This being my first daily podcast show, it hasn't been really that smooth. There has been a lot of ups and downs in creating the episodes. I had to go through a lot of workarounds to ensure that you receive a new episode every single day. And obviously the plan that I had wasn't foolproof. In episode 22 on celebrating your milestones, you would have heard that my theatre company completed a decade. Yes, they are 10-year-old now. So in order to celebrate this momentous moment, we went away with the whole team to a farmhouse. And we made sure that it was a very productive weekend. We worked through different theatrical exercises, we had various discussions, and we ended up planning the whole of 2019 year. When I had put together the plan for the weekend, I did not anticipate on how exhausting it will be both physically and mentally. Because this is 2 days of heavy lifting for not just small fun activities. It was planning the way we will be proceeding for the whole of year. And a lot of the folks who were there at the retreat were sort of meeting each other and spending so much time with each other for the first time. So there was an added pressure to make sure that the team mingles well and gets along to help us create the 2019 success plan. So with all of that work going in just 2 days, I was expecting that I will still be able to come back and work on the episode. However, I was so exhausted that all I did was come and crash. I don't think that's the right excuse for missing out on that episode. I think there's a lot more to it. And over the last 2 days, I kind of put my mind together to understand what was happening. So in this episode, we will try to cover that. And I will try to go over the reasons on why I think things did not work and how I can improve it for future. Because we are here for the long run. I want to make sure that you grow with me consistently, and these podcast episodes are helping you in your business every single day. So once again, apologies for not publishing new episodes for the last 2 days. And if you have been listening to this series on a regular basis, I am really sorry that I kept you waiting. I would like to ensure that this doesn't happen again, but please help me figure things out and get things in order to ensure that you get a new episode every single day. These are starting troubles while I am still figuring these things out and I'm learning how to get a daily podcast done. And I would love to have you come along in that journey with me. Now coming back to Seinfeld's don't break the chain motivation method. Now Jerry Seinfeld, as most of us know, is a popular stand-up comic. And he once gave this advice to a younger comic. That in order to become a better stand-up comic, you need to tell better jokes. And the way you go about creating better jokes is you write a new joke every single day. And Seinfeld, to ensure that he does that, went ahead and created this method, where on a calendar he would mark a X on every single day that he writes a joke. So after a few days, he needed to ensure that he doesn't break the chain. All the X's together start making a chain, a streak that needs to be maintained. And there is a compulsion that will happen which will end up making you continue writing that one joke. This can be applied to anything that you want to do. So if you want to do something on a regular basis and make it a routine, ensure that you are marking out on a calendar somewhere that's visible to you so that you can see the chain in front of you and have a clear picture of what will happen if you break the chain. You wouldn't want to have that gap in between. And that's what will keep you motivated, will keep you going and have you creating new content every single day. That was sort of my motivation for the last so many days. I continued to go to my podcast page and see how every single day had a new podcast published. And that motivated me to continue going, to continue making sure that I am publishing a new episode every single day. However, I broke the chain, and it has been devastating. I was not very happy, and I was so down because I broke the chain that I couldn't get myself up to start recording the new episode. So, I have been asking myself, why did I break this chain? Like I mentioned earlier, physical exhaustion was one of the reasons. But then, that cannot be the excuse for not publishing the episode a little later. It's better than not publishing at all. But somehow I hit a low point and I couldn't get myself to start recording again. Now, when I tried to decipher as to what went wrong, I realized that one of them was low on motivation. My reason behind starting this podcast was to find ways that I can help more businesses grow. I can work with solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, share my learnings, tips and tricks in order to ensure that they keep growing consistently. And I was very happy on how things were going. But this is one person recording from a single room. And I did not see a lot of activity happening on the episodes that I was recording. In fact, I saw a small drop in the listen rate as well. So I wasn't sure if my episodes were really helping, if all the work that I was putting in was reaching more people or not. So somehow, a thought that crept in my mind is, if I do not record an episode, would it really matter to anybody? Would somebody miss it at all? And that is a self-destructive thought, which led to not recording an episode. There were also a lot of unanswered questions around what my listeners are getting from the episodes I'm recording. Whether the quality of my episodes is good enough for them to stick around. Whether I'm talking about things that will help them in their business. Now, I don't have answer to these questions even now. However, I know that I need to keep doing it in order to find the answers. I cannot just stop because I don't have these answers. I need to continue doing what I'm doing and ensure that I go out there and make more people listen to this podcast episodes and find the answers to my questions. And lastly, there was a break in the routine. Ironically, people say that it takes 21 days to build a habit. And I recorded 21 episodes without a break, and just after that, I ended up hitting a break. But it may be wrong on my part to look at a daily podcast show as a habit, because in order to create every single episode, it takes about 2 to 3 hours of work, right from content generation to research to recording the whole episode, publishing it, and making sure everything is alright. Now, so much time being spent every day on a single thing cannot be termed as a habit because there are things that can go wrong and you can very well miss out on the habit. Just like this weekend trip, I had to go on the trip, and even though I had planned better, I couldn't really expect that things can go wrong, like my own mental and physical strength. And that is bound to happen, especially because I even need to continue to record these episodes from a specific place. I cannot just be recording it from anywhere. So I need to be better prepared of how to avoid these routine breaks. So here are a few things that I am thinking of implementing for this particular podcast. Rather than recording every single day, I need a better process. Now, over the last 21-22 days, I have actually improved my process of recording, and now I can generate an episode faster than what I was doing when I started this. As they say, practice makes a man perfect, but recording a new episode every single day is a strategy that is bound to fail. I need to plan better. I need to be having episodes ready way before the actual publishing day. I should not be recording the episode on the day it is supposed to be published because there is a high possibility of things falling through the cracks. I need to have a system that works for me and the podcast. One of the systems that John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur Fire follows is that he records once a week, and rest of the week he goes around doing other things for his website, for his business. So in just one single day, he ensures that he completes recording for the whole week. And I think that takes off a lot of load from his plate on how he can go about recording these episodes. Now, I don't know if I am ready to record 7 hours in a day and create 7 episodes for the rest of the week, but I definitely need to record more than one and ensure that I'm planning ahead. Ensure that my content is planned way before the show day. I cannot be even thinking of content and researching on the same day that I'm recording. My initial thought was that by doing this, I'm keeping the content fresh in my mind. I'm making sure that whatever I need to talk about, I'm aware and I have done the research on the same day and I'm not relying on my memory. However, that's a wrong strategy as well. Whatever I'm talking about are also things that I'm implementing in the businesses that I am working with. These are thought out experiments. These are experiments that are conducted. Not everything is just read online and redistributed through a podcast, because if I'm doing that, then I'm not really giving any value to all of you. And I need to make sure that whatever content I produce is valuable for the listeners. So a lot of personal experience, a lot of my own thoughts, a lot of my learnings from the experiments that I conduct are supposed to be in there. All of this can be planned earlier. All of this can be thought out much better and ensure that the content planning stage takes care of everything that needs to be done in order to create a great episode. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to switch to a 2-day-a-week recording schedule where I will record 2 days across the week and cover all the episodes. I haven't really picked the days yet, but I will be doing that. That will also help me ensure that every day at a particular time these episodes are getting published and they don't get spaced out at different hours. The other thought is, by planning the content of multiple episodes in one go, I will be a lot more motivated to record them because I would know what I'm going to record. A lot of times, uncertainty leads to procrastination. The task suddenly seems too big and it gets pushed out. So I want to make sure that I have the content planned out way earlier than I start recording, so that when I'm reading through the content, I'm excited about recording and talking about them. And finally, it will also give me a lot more time to market and reach out to more people. I find motivation by helping other people, by knowing that whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm putting out is helping a lot of people. But currently that's not happening for my podcast series. I don't see enough listeners coming in every single day, and that is one reason that I don't feel motivated enough. I don't feel that I'm helping a lot of people, and that can only change if I go out and market this podcast out. Help more people discover it, help more people find about it and talk about it. So, by recording and pre-planning these episodes, I will have a lot more time in my hand to go out there and market them, to have more people discover them and ensure that the episodes I'm creating are helping other people. So that's sort of the plan I have in mind. We obviously will have to iterate it a few times to get it right, but that's all part of growing a business. You need to keep testing, you need to keep getting feedback, you need to keep changing things in your process until all of it starts working seamlessly for you. I hope you found this episode helpful. I hope there were some takeaways that you can go back and apply on your processes, on your businesses, and find some motivation to get shit done. Do use the don't break the chain method and tell me if it worked for you. Just pick a goal, mark off the days on which you work towards that goal, and ensure that you are using the chain of the marked off days as a motivator. With that, we have come to an end of this episode, and I'll make sure that I come back soon with the next one. Thank you so much for listening and sticking around. This is your host Piyush Agarwal, and you have been listening to the Grow Daily podcast.